One thing that I've noticed about myself is I am an entrepreneur, but I'm also an intrapreneur. I love working and helping other people be successful, and having that, being self-aware about that is huge. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. All right, we are live, and I got a good one for you today, Miss Anne Duffy. And I want to tell everybody kind of where I met Anne. First of all, Anne, I love your energy. Every time that I meet with you, every time I talk to you, you always make sure that your energy is really high. I know it's natural to you, but it always brings my energy up a notch. But how I met Anne is we were actually at Dykema, and I was at a networking event, and she sat down at the table that I was at, and we just got talking. And she is a natural entrepreneur. She's in the dental industry, and she said, "Hey Gary, I have a site that you can publish your content on." And I said, "Man, that's really cool. How does that work?" And she started explaining it to me. And I said right away, I said, "Anne, I just need to bring you on the podcast so we can talk for an hour." So that's where we're kind of at today. And Anne, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm really looking forward to talking through all the different stuff that you have going on today.
Hey, well, thanks for having me. I've got to say, you are quite the gentleman. I got home from Dykema, and then I get this beautiful card here that I've got in my hand. Um, a handwritten note from you, Gary. I mean, come on, that really meant a lot to me. And as soon as you said, you want to be on my podcast, I'm like, heck yes, I do. You don't get
That's
these
awesome.
handwritten notes very often. So I first of all want to say thank you. That was lovely, and it was great to meet you. I'm trying to remember that was a great lunch because I had met a couple of guys at the table that I had
Yeah.
not had the chance to meet before, and I always think good people meet good people, and it's really
Mhm.
great how our industry is always um, so open to other ideas and what are you doing? How can I help? And so
Yeah.
that's where we came to a common ground that day, which was really lovely.
Hey, before we go any further in the show, I need you to visit a website for me, dentalmarketingmanager.com. If you're a dental office that has somebody managing some of your marketing internally, it's so important that you get them trained. And right now, there is no standard, there is no set of KPIs that people use to build out this position. And so it's been a little bit like the Wild Wild West, but we're aiming to change that. On December 8th and 9th of 2022, we are going to be hosting the first ever dental marketing boot camp, and we're going to be covering everything that there is to know about being a marketing manager, all the KPIs, how to partner with a marketing vendor, how to build out a position, how to get more patient referrals, 2023 plan calendared out, and everything that you're going to need to manage your dental marketing. And this is not something that you're going to want to miss if you are a marketing manager, and you're not going to want to have your team miss this if you have somebody helping you internally with your marketing. So we hope that you will come. A lot of the SMC clients are going to be there. And if you don't work with SMC, that's totally fine. We still want you there. We want to help you. We want to help your businesses grow. So go check us out, dentalmarketingmanager.com. We have limited space, limited opportunities, and we hope to see you there. I want to talk a little bit more about the copy that you guys are looking for. So the content, because I'm actually really curious for myself. I'm trying to post tons of content online. Like we're trying to post 5 videos a day. I'm trying to post an article every single day, 2 or 3 other kinds of posts that are non-video. So we're trying to crank out content all the time across. We have 4 podcasts now. We do a webinar every single month. So we have all these different content hub sources. So I'm really curious about what you're doing. And I want to who are you looking to publish on your sites, and how does that work exactly?
Well, it's all started, like 20 years ago. I was introduced to a gentleman that was a schlepping dental entrepreneur, business beyond the classroom, and it was going up against dental economics. And then he switched gears and then decided to go to all the dental schools. So I came on board and helped him sell ads, and we launched. And then he had no dental passion. I did. I just retired from 45 years of clinical hygiene,
Oh,
and
wow.
so I bought it from him, and we went to all the dental schools. Print copy, Gary, drop
Okay,
ship
so
in
this
the
is okay. Hold on,
mailboxes.
hold on, hold on. This is awesome. This is the stuff I love right here. Okay, so
Okay.
someone else started a business. They were like, dental's boring, right? Which I can understand.
Yep.
I've actually worked with people that actually quit because they were like, dental's too boring. And then you bought it from them, but it was only print back then. So it wasn't
Yeah.
digital at all. And
Yeah.
how much did you buy it for? Can you say?
Really? You want me to tell you? He owed
Yeah,
me
yeah.
$1,500, and he just didn't pay it, and he gave it
Oh,
to
that's
me.
so cool. That
I
is so
know.
awesome. That
I
is
know.
so cool. Okay, I'm glad I asked that question. And then,
I've
so
never
you bought
told
it for.
anybody that, Gary. I've never
No,
told
that's
anybody that.
huge. No, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no. That's huge.
Yeah.
I love this is like the entrepreneur side of me that I'm just like fascinated.
Yeah.
So now you take this $1,500 thing that basically someone's just throwing away, and now you're turning it into a business. So walk me through. So it's a print publication when you first started.
Mhm.
What year was that roughly?
I think it was 98. 1998. I met him on a trade show floor. I was in a networking. I'm a hygienist. I always had a side gig, so I was in OxyFresh, and I built the largest team of female dental professionals in the company. And met him on a trade show floor. And interestingly enough, I had no sales background, and so because my husband's in sales and all that kind of stuff, so I think through our cocktail hour every night, I learned a little bit. And he had a professional salesperson that was supposedly selling ads, and he never sold anything. I come on board, we
Mm,
launched, we made a lot of money actually in the beginning, just right out of the chute.
mhm.
And again, I just kind of fell into it. I didn't want it to die because I really had a passion because for the dental entrepreneur, the private
Mhm.
practitioners, because I have 7 state boards. I moved around a lot with my husband's company, and always took a job with a private practitioner. So I had a love for the business side and how some work and some don't. So that was number one. And yeah, it was just print twice a year. Again, business beyond the classroom, and as we all know, and still dental schools don't have a business
Yeah.
curriculum. They don't have time
Yep.
for it. And so we were
Yep.
generic, and we just slipped in there and gave them, like, how do you buy a practice, how do you be a leader, how do you hire and fire. So yeah, that's how it all started. And I actually, you'll love this. I really didn't want to buy it because I was doing really well in OxyFresh and working at 3 kids.
Mhm.
We were Tom and I raising and all that. But my friend said, "Oh, my husband will sell ads, and all you have to do is get the content." So I knew a lot of people from 3 years into the business through all the different side gigs I had. And
Mhm.
so I said, "Okay, great." Well, her husband never sold one ad. And so then I did everything. I brought in the authors. I started to know all the different women and men in
Mm.
dentistry through writing for us, through the marketing companies, in that kind of in that kind of arena. And
Yeah.
then got involved with the speakers and consultants because they were our writers. And
Yeah.
yeah, it just all came together, and we've grown it. We grew it over the years.
And now
It's
it's
a real love
digital,
of
right?
mine.
Now it's
Oh
more
yeah, it's all
digital than.
digital,
Okay.
and we rebranded. Honestly, you're funny how you said that earlier, like dentistry can be boring. Well, I was really getting bored with how to get out of dental school and the business 101, right? Because you can Google that now. And so we became digital. We still print about 100 now, and we used to do 10,000 editions, but now we do at least 100 for all the authors that write for us, because they like to frame it and give it to their parents and their siblings or their kids or whatever. So we do that, but again, it's all digital. And so we still keep the model though of the magazine. So we have like a 36-page, 42-page publication that we go out 4 times a year, and we rebranded last year to Dental Entrepreneur, the future of dentistry, which the different subtitles would be like spotlight, innovation, culture, business,
Yeah,
launch
that's
pad,
awesome.
and impact.
So
So
what's the biggest changes that you've noticed about the writers and the people that you're dealing with in the dental industry over the last 10 years or so?
gosh, not really much different. I mean, the content is different, obviously, because of, all the new nuances in dentistry, and how social media has come about, and then just the innovation that's there. So we're just getting started with that lane. As
Mhm.
far as business beyond the classroom, again, it was pretty much the same thing. Some of our articles from like 1998 are still relevant today.
Yeah.
Just how to be a good leader, and you go back, Jim Rohn. I mean, there's so many people, Tony Robbins, people like that teach leadership. A lot of that is there. So I think that what I notice now is why it's easy for me to find people that want to be published. So that is something that I don't have any problem with, because if you've got a message, and we tell stories like you. We are the storytellers. So our publication, I really, it's not anything clinical, nothing clinical, either publication. And that
Okay.
we'll
Got
talk
it.
about Dental Entrepreneur Woman, but
Yeah.
it's the stories. And in my mind, and I've always felt this, that stories sell
Oh
and
yeah.
facts tell. So we don't
Yeah.
tell anything. I want
Well,
their stories. In fact,
especially in dentistry, and because the dentists drive the dental industry, and dentists are like hyper analytical, right? Like
yeah,
they're way out there as far as wanting to know their numbers, which I'm that way too. Not as much as a dentist, but I definitely love numbers too. So I think stories get missed a lot of times in the dental industry because everybody is so focused on, well, how many practices was it, or how fast was it, or what's the size of it, how big or small was it. So I think that's
data,
huge.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
What's the
yep,
data?
yep. Yeah, and you kind of
Yeah.
miss. You can overcorrect. So data's you can overcorrect to stories, and I think that in the outside of dental, there's too much stories, right? There's too many storylines, and there's not enough data. But in the dental industry, I feel like it's too much data, and there's not enough stories tied back to that. So I love that mindset. What are your thoughts around the different kinds of content? So you said, I get the clinical side has, or the more the educational side hasn't really changed, but you said there's a lot of like technology and just a lot of different things that are happening from a content standpoint. What are you noticing that's like different now, over and over and over again?
Well, when you talk about Dental Entrepreneur, what we've realized, and this has been in the past couple of years, and it's cool that your audience is in the DSO realm. So for the first, I don't know, 18 years of Dental Entrepreneur, it was strictly to the dental private practitioner. And so we, the DSOs, they were seen as, the evil people on the other side. So there's a line in between. And what I've realized in the past couple of years is that, I know this from my heart that there are good DSOs and there are good private practitioners. There are bad DSOs, and there are bad, bad is
Just like everything
I don't like
else,
that
right?
word. It's
Yeah.
it's like everything else. And
Yep.
my goal for Dental Entrepreneur Media is to bring everybody together in dentistry and understand each other. And you understand people through their story. I'm always interested in, how did you get? Where were you? Where are you? And where do you see yourself going? So to answer your question, uh, a dental entrepreneur now is somebody that says, "Hey, I think I can do this in another practice, and then another
Yeah.
practice, and then another
Yeah.
practice." And I love that aspect of it, and I love sharing that story because there are, I think, I don't know, and you know this from all the people that you work with at DSOs. We think that most people go to dental school to become an entrepreneur, to have their own business, and yet in the DSO reign, you can still be an intrapreneur, even though you're working
Yeah.
for
Mm.
a DSO. You're an intrapreneur, so you're still running your schedule. You're still running your team. It's just like and I get that from dental hygiene. I always took ownership in my schedule, my patients, my everything about what I did. I mean, some of my bosses thought I was kind of boss Z, if you will, but I just felt like I owned it, and I think that's awesome. I mean, I like people that when they work for me now, that they take ownership in what we're trying to do as a team, as a practice, and as a DSO, it's just a bigger team. That's the way I look at it. So that has really been a model.
I love that. And one thing that I've noticed about myself is I am an entrepreneur, but I'm also an intrapreneur. I love working and helping other people be successful, and having that, being self-aware about that is huge because you can make a huge impact and you can be very successful. People will give you equity. I've given people equity in my business because they were very entrepreneur spirit, right? And they wanted to help us grow, and they had that mindset. And I think that's really important. Now, where do you think, what is like the most polarizing story that you guys have seen lately? Where here's the thing with dental. I'll say, preface with this: dental, a lot of times everybody agrees, and everybody's very polite. So you can even bring in two competing vendors or two competing dentists, and they'll just sit there and compliment each other, right? And you don't
Yeah.
get that in other industries a lot. But is there any topics that you're seeing where it's like people are like half on one side, half on the other?
Well, I would say, private practitioner versus being in DSO. That is the number one that I see, because I have like some of our authors, like David Rice writes for us in every edition, and he's always been in the private practitioner, own your own practice, be your own boss. Lane, and I think his eyes are starting to open up a little bit, and so I think that's
like how
one.
is his eyes opening up? What do you mean by that?
I think there are good DSOs. Not everybody is doing a lousy job and doing treatment that doesn't need done and all about the money. There are really good DSOs that have great leadership. We all know in dentistry the patient comes first, right? And so it's heartbreaking when and I can just say, as a clinician, we would get somebody in our practice that was in a not a great DSO that would come to us and had treatment done that, wasn't great or was overtreated. And so therefore all DSOs aren't good, because that was our experience. And so that is polarizing unless you start opening your eyes up and you're open to learning about how this can work and work very well. And that's really part of my job right now. I see that as a plus for dental entrepreneur, the future of dentistry. And then of course we've got, go on.
No, go ahead. I'm going to take us in a separate direction. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to take us in another direction as well, which is Dental Entrepreneur Woman, which I started 5 years ago on a knee-jerk reaction on a phone call that a good friend of mine was bullied in her review, and she was told her smile was insincere, and she's the most sincere person I know. And
so you had somebody who was a female dentist, a woman dentist, and she went for a job interview?
No,
to be an associate?
Was in marketing. She was in marketing for one of the bigger companies.
Got it.
And because I know so many different women in different career paths, so that's what was the.
So she was bullied, but what I want to know what happened. Like, so she's at a job interview, or she's at working for somebody, and then review. Okay, and what happened?
Her boss at the time said that her smile was insincere and she was not going to get the promotion that she was vying for. And I mean, it wasn't, we misspeak sometimes. I mean, he's a great guy. They've since, apologized and that kind of thing. But that day it devastated her. And I just happened to call her when she was just walking out of a review and she was crying. And I was just like,
so do you feel that happened to her because she was a woman, or do you feel that happened because of her position, or because of the leader, because of,
well, something like that's going to happen. Listen, Gary, you cannot imagine the stories I hear from women in dentistry. What
do you mean by that?
Women are still sitting in the back seat. It's unbelievable. That was one story. I had heard that other women were getting speaking gigs at some of the big meetings, but they weren't making the same amount of money that the men were making, the jobs that weren't getting the same amount of money. They weren't getting the promotions. I mean, you look around on a trade show floor and you will see 30 suits and you'll see, 2 females, in the morning huddle. And you look at the C-suites. So I started doing this digging, and the C-suites, there will be 12 seats at the table. There may be 1 seat for a woman at that table. And we know that women are taking over dentistry, in the fact that more than 52%, it's like 53, 61% at Penn and 63% at Tufts graduating dentists are women. And if you look at their teams, I'm just making this number up, 98% women, right?
Yeah. It's traditionally traditionally the model's been there's a male doctor and then an all-female office. That's been, if you're going look at the traditional single practitioner office. But yeah, that's starting to change. And so, sorry to cut you off there. I just wanted to call that out.
No, that's good. Well, it is historical and in tradition, but I mean, think about how fast did it get us to be like 52% of the graduating dentists are women. So, we're still sitting in the back seat if you look at the big companies, and that's just one little thing. That's why, I love the women in DSO movement, because to see these women coming together for, C-suite positions.
Yeah, I talked to. Do you know who Margaret is? Margaret was on one of our podcasts.
Oh, I love Margaret.
Margaret's awesome. So she she said she was one of the first. She said she didn't know any other women in dental that were on leadership roles. She was like, I was the only woman that I knew that was in a leadership position in dental at all, right? Which was
Yeah.
that's crazy. And so
It
just in that short time, it is changing. It is definitely morphing. And so what do you think is the biggest hurdle right now? What is the biggest thing holding back progress from? I know one thing that I've talked to different people, and I'll just throw this on the table. I know with 50% of the women coming out and being dentists, like if I was going to open up a DSO, I'd be very interested in attracting women as dentists. But I know one of the obstacles is women have children and then they want to stay home and take care of their children. So I've even seen people open up or talk about models around having childcare for the women at the practices and things like that. What are your thoughts? Is that a real thing, or is there other obstacles that women are facing?
Well, no, that's a real thing, and that's ridiculous because the women that are coming out of dental school are smart and they figure it out. They don't want to settle. They feel like they can have it all, and then that's how they do it. They're women are creative. I mean, I love men. I mean, listen, I'm a big fan of men. So my husband, we're celebrating 47 years on Tuesday. So
That's awesome.
We've had some
Congratulations.
staying power there. Thank you. But
That's a good job.
but no, but I mean, if they can do it, and that is how it's going to be shifting. But when you need some female feminine energy and leadership in positions that are going to make decisions for the landscape change of females in dentistry. So that is something that is taking a while to do. Again, if you just have to look at who's in those positions right now, it's still like 5%. I mean, I'm making that up too.
Oh wow!
I don't
Yeah,
know what the
yeah.
percentage is but it's not many. And you can count on one hand the number of companies that are owned by females in the dental industry on two hands. Well, I'll say two hands.
Do you think
But
that's
anyway, it's
two gatekeepers, like people keeping women out, or do you think that's a choice that women are making, or what are your thoughts there?
I think it's a little bit of both because I think women, it's a mindset also. A lot of times I hear from women that they don't know, they have the historical mindset of like, that's not for me. I hear this
Mm-hmm.
many times, and this is maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when they would apply to dental school, they would say, well, why would you want to be a dentist? You're taking the place of a male, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I still am hearing these things. So it's
Wow.
pretty crazy that way. But I also think, women um, need to be empowered. And it's when I started I thought, yeah, we want to empower women, but women need to want to be empowered and to be able to
Yeah,
take these positions and want these
yeah,
positions. So your question is, are they being offered and they're turning them down, or are they just not vying for them? I mean, there's a lot that we have to change in our mindset, but I think a lot of
yeah.
times
Well,
they're
to your
overlooked.
point, like I know some certain colleges, like programmers, there's no women in programming, right? Like
Hmm.
it's almost all men. And so what colleges have started to do is go out and say, we will literally give you college for free if you're a woman and you want to be a programmer, we will pay for your college because we want the women to come to our college, and they still won't take it, right? So there's some things that that maybe women don't want. I don't know why that is. I haven't looked into that. Like, why do women not want to be programmers? But then to your point, there's some people that are potentially gatekeeping and things like that as
Well,
well, and that's a problem too.
yeah, but again, sometimes they don't see themselves, you don't see anybody up there that you can look up to, that who's your mentor? Who do I want to be like? And as a little girl, I mean, I get that too. It's a lot of stuff there for
Yeah,
the gender.
yeah,
The boys, do anything you want. You can do it. You can do it. And little girls, be nice.
mm.
Be nice. So
Yeah.
I
So
hear
you're
that a
talking about
lot.
all the way over to even when they're little kids.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
But those are the women in their 40s right now and their 50s and their 60s that in are available to be in those positions. They had to fight and claw. And you ask any one of them that are in a C-suite right now, they had to go through a lot of hurdles, and it wasn't an easy road. They have to work harder. I mean, and I'm not really a woman's lib. In the fact that I believe that we should have equal pay. I
yeah.
believe we should have equal opportunities, but I'm not going to burn my bra on the street when I'm, marching. So, um, I just feel like it's our time right now, and especially
Hmm.
just listening to the stories that I hear and that I tell. It's there's men are different. We're different. We have different plates that we spin, but I do believe that women spin like 5 to 10 plates, and I think men sometimes maybe
Well, I will.
one.
Well, dental, yeah. It's from a economical standpoint, women. I think 70 to 80% of medical decisions are made by women. And then when you look at the makeup of a dental office, it is almost all women who are running the office. This is pre the 52% of dentists coming in are
Yeah.
now women.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you put the women as dentists, so if the decision makers are women and on the patient side, if the staff is all women, and then now the dentists are all women, yeah, the last place to go is running the organizations and things like that. And that's where women in DSO, I know that's something you're pretty passionate about. Tell me a little
Mm-hmm.
bit about that organization, what you do there, and what just any. I don't. We haven't really gone into that. I would love to learn more about it.
Well, I met Aman at Women in DSO, and her team that was putting that together. They asked me to be the MC, so that was like my first foray into that. And then Samantha Strange, she's a dear friend, and she's been in the DSO arena as well. So I started to meet a lot of women that were in the arena, and then have conversations with them, and realized honestly, Gary, there's a need for something just for women that just happen to be in dentistry, and that's why I started Do. So it's like you're a woman, happen to be in dentistry, so there's that common thread, and we
Mhm.
all have the same issues. I mean, there are certain issues that we have, like we had burnout, boundaries, leadership, you name it. It's some of these things are just geared toward our feelings and our feminine um, persona. So having to or seeing those women all come together like that from all different companies, it's just the culture that I have tried to build and do, and I really love promoting them and
Mhm.
what they stand for. And just like we had Dr. Effie Habshaw on our cover in the summer edition. And so she started Women in Dentistry 12 years ago in Canada. And so we reached out, and she couldn't have been more generous. So there's women that are starting movements, are just kind of coming together, and just rising tide raises all ships. That's all I can say. And we're just trying to
Yeah.
raise that. Uh, but
Tell
again,
me about the event you have coming up. I know you guys are doing an event soon.
yeah, we this is our fourth annual retreat. And so it's no CE, it's just a retreat. So come, it's for women, and we'll probably have 150 women in Charlotte, North Carolina in November. Just coming together on women's issues, and just talking. It's like basically like talking around a coffee table, and sharing ideas, and helping each other solve problems and pain points. And that's what we do. And it's a vault, so to speak. We have a couple of things that go on that we have principles to live by. So we try to, spread a little love, and a little, and everybody's welcome. So in other words, we always say everybody's welcome at our table. You might just, come for cocktails, and not stay for dessert, but there's always a seat available for you. So yeah, we're excited. We'll be descending into Charlotte, North Carolina in November.
How do people, if someone wants to go to that, how do they learn more about that?
They can just go to the do.life website. It's DEW.life, and that is a dental entrepreneur for dental entrepreneur woman, and DEW.life. And just the event is on there, and you can sign up. And we have a free newsletter, and then it's a membership platform. So we, as a member of Do, we have a lot of goodies that come with it. So yeah, it's really great. I mean, people say it's the best thing they've done for themselves, and so we like to hear that.
That's awesome. Where do you think the opportunity with the dental industry is going to be in the future? Like, what do you see coming 10 years down the road?
Oh my gosh, dentistry is so amazing. It is an ever evolving industry and profession. And I love the oral systemic connection. So I think that's going to get stronger, which is really important to see the medical and the dental come together. I mean, we're all in this for health, not just oral
Hmm.
health. So that is huge. And the technology, I love some of the new technology that is, drill as dentistry, and mineralizing enamel, and we got some of the big companies out there like Pulp Dent and things like that have these amazing products, and then just the technology that we're seeing from, like, golly, the X-rays to
Yeah.
mobile dentistry.
Yeah. The
That's
AI.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AI. I mean, it's really so exciting, and I think the sky's the limit. I mean, everybody says dentistry is a little bit behind medical, and so if that's the case, I mean, I feel like right now we're soaring. We've got so many great minds, and there's so many entrepreneurs out there that have been in dentistry and they saw a need, something's not working quite right, and they're developing things. So I believe the technology and the new innovation that's coming is going to come fast and furious.
Where are you going to be focusing your energy over the next couple of years? Like, what's exciting to you and kind of moves the needle for your business and your side of the world?
Well, for me, I mean, it's again, it's just, I'm like you. My idea is to just be the storytellers for the industry, to share all the goodness. And I like the good stories. I'm not. I hate scary stories. I told my husband this. I don't like scary movies. I don't like anything like that.
Me
I like
neither.
the
Me
good
neither.
stories that are going to inspire and give people hope. And honestly, Gary, I think I didn't know what I was doing when I got in dental entrepreneur. I will just tell you, I got to fell into that. But I've learned to have. I'm very passionate about it. With Do, it's like I knew what I was getting into, and I really wanted to, as a dental clinician, keep the amazing women and men in dentistry. They were starting to leave in droves. They weren't being fulfilled. And so if I can
Mm.
give them hope and give them an idea that, hey, you don't have to, sit in the chair for 5 days a week. There's other little opportunities that you can bring into your career, but keep
Why do
yourself
you
in
think
the
that's
career.
why do you think that's such a problem in dental that people don't they end up hating it?
Well, I think if, when you really think about it, like I had never worked 5 days a week. Personally, I worked 4 days a week, which was full time back in the day. Then we started
Hmm.
our kids, and I would work 2 days a
So was
week.
it like 10 hours? Was it 10 hours a day, 4 days a week,
No,
kind of thing,
no,
or just
no, it
eight
was eight
hours a day,
hours,
4 days a
eight,
week?
8 hours a day, 4 days a week. That was the norm. Listen,
Yeah.
I just finished 46
Yeah.
years of dental
No
hygiene.
dentists. Yeah. No dentists were used to be open on Friday, right? This
Oh
is
no,
like,
and
yeah.
yeah, never on Saturday or none of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when you think about somebody in an operatory 5 days a week in the mouth cavity and bent over, and the ergonomics of it, the enormity of what it is to run a business that used to put your shingle out and make sure you had a good location, and they would just come in droves. The HIPAA, the OSHA, all of those things that have made it, a grind, so to speak. Don't leave the profession that you studied, that you love. Figure out a way to fall back in love with dentistry. And that is really my goal with Dental Entrepreneur Media, is to have our dental professionals fall back in love with the career, the profession, and stick with it. Because my motto is, well, first of all, dues never retire. So, I'll be in the nursing home, and if somebody's got a toothache, I'll say, well, open up and let me take a look. Um, and I really like to keep good people in the industry. That is
Mhm.
my goal. Pretty simple.
Got it. And what do you think needs to happen to keep people engaged in dental? Like where's the biggest opportunity for dental to improve or keep getting better to make sure that we keep those people, those amazing people in dental?
Well, I mean, it's just that's also pretty simple. Appreciation, right? I mean, everybody wants to be appreciated, and it's just the simple things of just doing a good job, and knowing that you've got people that'll back you up. More of the things, not the clinical aspect so much, just more the personal side, I think will keep you in, if you look for those golden opportunities to grow personally. I think that's one of the lacking in dentistry. To your point earlier, Gary, you said all the clinical and all the things in the publications that are out there, but what about the personal development? So I really feel like that's something that I think dentists could work on a little bit more and keep us in the profession. You got to have a balance, and it is a great profession. I mean, you get to give someone a smile and a healthy mouth. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like priceless. And you go back to that. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a dentist, right?
Yeah. I know one of the things on your website is you have a whole section dedicated to culture. What's your
Mhm.
thoughts on culture and where dental's at from a culture standpoint?
Well, I think the culture in dentistry is moving in the right direction. I think COVID made a huge difference for all of us. We had to really take a look at what we were doing, who we were doing it for, at our team. How were they? They're leaving in droves, and who do you have to look at? The leader. And I think that, again, in dental school, they don't get any of that, and
Mm-hmm.
so they don't even when you're applying for dental school and even dental hygiene, it's strictly on grades. It's not. It used to be, you had to, do some hand exercises in front of the dean, and you had to, have an interview. A lot of times, it's just strictly grades. So I think the culture of being uh, and surrounding yourself with open-minded people that are share and collaborate. And I think some of that, on the social media has probably been good, because you can get into a group like one of your groups, or listen to your podcast. I really feel like it's on the up and up, because it's culture is trending, and you better get on the
Yeah.
culture train, or you're going to be left behind.
100%. Yeah. That's the most important thing in our business. That's before we look at revenue, before we look at number of clients, before we look at profits, we look at how is our culture with our team. Because if you have a good culture, you can do anything, you can accomplish anything. And I think that's really, really important. And I do see there is one of the big hurdles that I see is still being solved, is that you have culture at the office level, and then you have culture at the DSO level. And those are two different things. They're two different worlds. And people
Mm-hmm.
are still trying to figure out how to balance those. And do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, the thought I have is that, it starts from the top, for starters. I mean, no matter what
Mm-hmm.
happens, it is the leader at the top of the heap, and that trickles down. But, DSO is just a bigger business. I mean, so to me, it's not that much of it, not that much different. There's more pressure and there's more money, but basically, dentistry is one patient getting the best treatment they can get. And if it just boils down to the patient, it's pretty similar if you look at it that way. And that is your goal, is to make sure that the patient gets great care that they need, and a healthy and a
How do
healthy
you think?
mouth.
How do you think these DSOs? Some DSOs say they're not patient first. They're doctor centric, meaning they serve the doctors. And then how do you balance that? Is it like the DSO serves the doctor and the doctor serves the patient?
Well, see, you know more about that than I do. To me, when you just said that, I was like, oh, I don't like that at all. I'm sorry. I think that, the doctor has to take care of themselves. The dentist has to take care of himself, or he can't take care of anybody. So who puts the
Yeah,
oxygen mask on first? So, I mean, I think that's
yeah, yeah.
important.
Hmm.
But as a culture, I think it has to start with the patient, and
And
go
work out
from
from there.
there. So it's what is it, upside down maybe? But I that's why I'm learning. I mean, I'm open. I really want to embrace the DSOs. I have seen I wish I had worked for a DSO, Gary, honestly, because I mean, if my previous bosses are listening to this, and they probably will be, I never felt like they poured into me. Right. I had to seek out my personal development. I had to seek out my training. I mean, if it was a free CE class, oh yeah, we all went as a practice. And I honestly didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't
Yeah,
know that in this DSO, I learned so much at the Women in DSO listening. Like they pour into their teams. They give them community. I love to learn. And I would
yeah,
have loved somebody doing that and not just been on my own for that. So that is going to, again, that's why another aha for me is like, if that can morph into and rub off on the private practitioners, and some of the other stuff rubs off on the DSOs, I think we all come together. Our common goal should be, having a world where everyone has no pain and healthy teeth and healthy mouth. I mean, that's the
yeah.
common goal of dentistry across everything. So we work together on it. And that's what I've seen in especially with women in DSO, is bringing all the women platforms and movements together. And together we
Mm.
can do a big thing. And the same thing with the industry. Work together for
Yep.
that. It's
Question for
bigger
you
than
is have
anyone. It's bigger than any
Oh
one
yeah.
DSO or any one
Well, that's
private
why it's so
practitioner.
hard to do. That's why it's hard to do. That's why nobody can. It's bigger than one person. That means one person can't come in and just say, "I'm going to fix it" or "I'm going to
Yeah.
improve it." It doesn't work that way. So, how has inflation impacted your business at all? I know it's hitting dental offices pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a data person. We're doing well. So, I don't, as long as my bank account looks pretty good and I'm bringing it in and I'm getting those. I'm paying my team, and we're printing and we're getting all of our stuff. Bills are paid on time. I have seen that it's actually going well, because what's going, we're in different breeds right now. So you can do all this social media, but we have something a little special that is it stands on itself, stands alone. And so, I think, it hasn't really affected me to the point with the dentist. And I think dental offices that I've talked to, they're coming back, and I think they're innovating on how they're the software, the AI, like you were saying, on getting the patients there and how they get the patients, scheduled and all of those things. So yeah, I mean, all that new stuff out there, it can't go away. People are still going to have teeth. Everybody's, all these babies that are born, they're going to have their first set, their second set, and so,
Yep.
we got plenty of
There's a
plenty of
lot.
opportunity
There's
to build
huge
our
upside.
industry.
Yeah. There's huge upside, not just in America, but
Yeah,
all around the world. Dental is a baby as far as
I
the
agree.
opportunities, very, very early on. And that's why I don't, there's a lot of people in dental that have a very fixed mindset of, they feel like if someone else wins, it means they're losing. We're not even close to that.
Oh my gosh.
The pie can get so much bigger. The pie can just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and everybody can win. There's actually not enough doctors to serve the patients right now. So we need
I
more
know.
doctors, more hygienists. We need more offices. We need more technology. We need more ideas, innovation. There's so many opportunities out there. There could be 100 Garys and Anne Duffys out there, and we still wouldn't scrape the tip of the surface of what's needed in the industry. So I'm a big component, a believer of that. You have a podcast. Tell me what's been like, what your favorite episode or
Oh
show that you've
gosh.
done so far.
My favorite episode. Well, the first one we did for Dental Entrepreneur, the Future of Dentistry, with Dirk Fleshman. He's a piece of work, so that was fun. And we had, and he's somebody I'm trying to change out, because he is somebody that, he's really private practitioner focused, right? So, I'm working on
So
him.
there are some people out there that are really anti DSO. And
Yeah,
so they're just like
yeah.
100% like, it's the worst thing for dental. When it happens, it's going to ruin dentistry. It's going to ruin it for the patient. Just taking that argument and kind of thinking, like still manning it, like thinking about it from their end. Why do you, and I'm not saying you feel this way, but why do you think people feel that way? Why do really smart people feel that DSOs are just horrible?
Well, I mean, for uh, because they've had that experience. I mean, if you experience somebody, for instance, doing a bridge on bombed out teeth and periodontal problems, and to make quota, you're gonna not think that that's a good way to go, right? So you get
Yeah,
one or two experiences of that, and you have made your decision about
the
all
DSOs.
offices. Now that can happen in a private practitioner's office as well. So
Well,
instead
not,
of
yeah, yeah.
it can, and so instead of saying it's the DSO model, and so I think it's just the experiences they have. We have to continue to be responsible and be champions of good dentistry and good leadership.
Yeah, one of the best arguments against that I've heard is, you actually can't have a DSO doing bad dentistry without a bad dentist at the top leading it. Because if I went and ran a DSO, right? I'm a marketing guy, I'm a business guy, I'm a CEO of my company. But let's just say all of a sudden I was a CEO of a dental organization, a DSO. I don't know what good dentistry is and bad dentistry. I don't know how many crowns somebody needs. I don't know how many fillings. You could tell me anything. Even you, Andy, you were a hygienist. You could tell me your gums are this and your things are this, and I'd just be
Yeah.
like, okay, because you told
Okay.
me. I have no idea. So there to do bad dentistry, there has to be a bad dentist somewhere. And when I say bad, I mean not by the quality, but I mean by the moral side of it, and
Hmm.
doing things that aren't needed. And that's a big problem. And I know the other big problem that dental has, whether it's a DSO or it's a single location thing, is that dental, if you have a dental problem and you go to a dentist, and this is my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, and I go to 10 dentists with this same problem,
Hmm.
I'm going to get 10 different diagnoses
Yeah.
and 10 different, here's what you should do. And that's something that has to be fixed. Like, you can't have that inconsistency, because you're asking people to use their personal judgment and then getting upset to them saying, oh, that you went too far on your personal judgment. There's too much gray area there. And I think that's where technology is going to really be able to come in and help. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel that that's an area of opportunity, or do you think there's other things there that are causing that maybe solve
Well,
that?
I think that's another opportunity, Gary. But in the end, it's truly about the ethics and the morals of the person's diagnosing. And because you might diagnose one thing and somebody else diagnoses another, doesn't mean you're immoral. But we've got to um, do no harm. And I think good people find good people. So I'm just like, let's just keep spreading the love and be open to, if we made a mistake, we can fix it. Or if we, not, I mean, it's an inexact science in so many. So it's not ever going to be, you'll never get the same opinion, even with 10 dentists. I mean, you might get 50%, but there's a lot of different ways to fix the problem. And depending on their skill level and their, I used to work for a guy that he was always jerry rigging things. And so, but some of our patients ended up with all their teeth and, until their 90s and 100, and they were in the grave and they had their, the picture on them, teeth by Dr. So-and-so. So, I mean, I don't, I don't know. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and no judging, and just hoping that whatever you're doing, if it's run by how much money you make,
Yeah, that's a
it's
problem.
not going to work. And
Yeah.
so again, this is another thing that we do try to tell in our young
But
dentists is
so
like,
so so let me stop you right there. So if it's
okay,
based, I agree with you. Like, if you're an entrepreneur and you're just like, all I care about is hitting a money number in any industry, it's not going to end well. Like, you might get the money, but it's not going to end the way that you think that it's going to end. There has to be something else there. But couldn't you argue that all the individual practices are all ran by go get the money? Like, that's at the core of them. And then as DSOs grow, there becomes more accountability and more oversight and things like that. I've heard people argue it that way too. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying there's two sides to, you could whatever argument you use for one side, you could use on the other side. Like, as technology begins to come out, you're going to be able to tell how people are diagnosing and how consistent they're diagnosing with, I just had the CEO of Overjet come on, and
oh wow, neat.
I asked her, how is this going to work at the DSOs? Like, why would doctors want this? And what it does is it gives oversight and it protects the doctor from over treating or under treating, and it also protects the DSO, because now the DSO, somebody like myself who doesn't have dental knowledge, they can actually look at it and say, hey, this is in the range. Like, you are making the right calls, or you're under treating. This patient needed more help and you didn't help them, or you overtreated and you suggested things that weren't there. And so it's starting to create these parameters that are outside of just the doctor, like, hey, this is what I think. I think that's a great opportunity, but I can also understand that's could be really scary. If I was a single practitioner, I might not think kindly of that. I might not want that. And I might I could, so I could get both sides.
Yeah, I mean, there, that gets a little tricky, but I mean, again, you just hope that they will do their best. And I think, these young dentists get out, they need a little help. Everyone needs help because
Yeah.
it just because you're diagnosing. I mean, I've seen excellent clinicians. They still are, some things don't go well, and
Hmm.
some teeth break when you're doing this. And I mean, there's so many variables.
Yeah. Well,
That
and
just makes me,
you can also have the best intentions and still mess up
yeah,
too, right? And
right,
I think that's the angle for me that I would take if I was in a DSO. I would take, look, guys, we all have great intentions, but we can still mess up. And same with a single practitioner. If I was running in a single location, hey, I have the best intentions, and the hygienist and the dental assistants, we all have the best intentions, but we can still mess up. And then now they're starting to be guide rails to help those people. So I think at the end of the day, if the patient's winning, I think that's a good thing.
yeah. And I think everybody can use some guide rails in every
Mhm.
facet of their life. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't turn them down. I think the thing is to be open to it. Like, this is going to help
Yeah.
you, and give you um, peace of mind. that you did your best and you saw this. I mean, anything you can have, because again, we're behind in dentistry compared to CT scans and all that kind of stuff in medical
Yeah.
that really help make those decisions. And so, the one thing I hope it doesn't happen is that dentistry becomes more litigious, and we have people afraid to be in dentistry and afraid that they're going to make a mistake, because you have to be confident if you're going to start drilling at someone's tooth, because once you drill it, it's gone. And
Yeah.
so the best thing we can do with what you're talking about with Overjet and other companies that are coming abound and innovating is to support them, and because they're trying to give us more information to make a better decision.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So I love that.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you? I know I asked you about a lot of stuff and we covered a wide range of things. Is there anything that I didn't cover with you?
No, I don't think so. You didn't ask me how old I am. I'm very happy about that. And no, I mean, no, Gary, it's just been a pleasure to get to know you. You're a light. I saw some of your podcasts and I've been following you for a long time. You really bring great information, great people to the industry. I think we're like-minded, and I think culture's, like you were saying before, culture is so important, and it is important to build it and then to find people that want to line up with your culture. And that's when
100%.
that's when the magic happens, is cultures coming together that lift each other up and support each other. And we're going to do this. We're going to make this profession great again. I don't know.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. Well, I'm gonna start posting on your site. My team's already working on it. We're already writing articles and things like that. So I'm excited to be a part of what you guys are doing. And if I can ever help you in any ways, I'm here for you. And I love what you're doing. I love all the stuff that you're doing. Thanks for letting me ask questions and prod and think of different angles. And then how can people, if someone wants to connect with you, how can people find you?
They can find me on the website. And I'm glad you said that, because if you're listening to this podcast and you want to be published and gain some expert status out there, we are happy to publish you. And you can find me on dentalentrepreneur.com or dew.life. Either of those have my contact information, or Anne Duffy on Anne L. Duffy on Facebook, and I'm Instagram. You can find me anywhere. LinkedIn. Come on now. Just take a look.
Awesome.
But I'd love to meet you, hear your story, and share your story with the world.
Yep. Please reach out to Anne. She has a lot of great resources and does a great job. So thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks for having me.